Well, hello Steelers, and welcome to this very special edition of U Group. We are playing with internet sensation Ken, Yorkshire gamer, everybody knows him, and internet sensation Andy from Firepower Gaming. This is a clash of YouTubers and podcasters, isn't it, I suppose? So this is a game of U Group. We are playing the Crossing the Vire River. This is a nice basic introductory game of U Group for the guys who've never. Ken, you've played it twice, haven't you?
I have played twice.
Played twice.
I've played
so
bits
far.
of it twice.
Yeah, you're just working the rules out, aren't you? And Andy, you've never played it, have you?
An U Group virgin.
Absolutely. So this is a perfect scenario for you. Andy, you are playing the Americans attacking, and Ken, you're playing the defending Germans.
I am.
And this is probably quite a small table for you, Ken, isn't it? A 6x4.
It is. I've had to, this is the hardest. A 6x4 or a 12x6. It's where'd you put it?
Yeah, exactly.
So I've stuck it in the middle. Honestly,
I think he'll be fine. Yes, absolutely. And Ken has very, very kindly given up his afternoon for us to play this here. And I just want to quickly show you this vast amount of figures that are standing behind us, because this is amazing. And
the rest are holding the table.
This would be a video in itself to go through these, so I'm not going to. But we've just done the deployments. So lads, talk me through your deployments first of all. Ken, you start as a defender.
Okay, so with my O Group dice, I got 1-1. And
that's an interdiction on your troops, so it makes it hard.
On my troops, so I lost a section.
That was from the Americans.
From the Americans.
The interdiction is stopping you from deploying, making it harder, should I say.
Damn. What was my 1 for? What did I?
That was you. That was your interdiction. Then he also destroyed one of your units as well.
I missed that.
Yes.
Hey, victory, retreat. And then I've got 2 units in ambush from 5s and 6s.
That's right.
Which obviously I'm not going to
Don't tell us where they are.
Andy's listening.
I know as the umpire.
And the remainder, I managed to get 6 combat patrols. And one of the objectives is the main town over there. So I've got a couple of combat patrols in there to help me put troops out in the important area, if that's where Andy decides to attack. I've got 1 here in a slight flanking position for the village to give me a little bit of an option.
That's right.
And then this is the German Cub Scout platoon, because I've set up in the wood, and I've got a couple.
They're having a sing-song.
They're having a sing-song. We're doing a bit of kumbaya. We're boiling some rabbits. It's absolutely brilliant.
Amazing stuff.
If it wasn't for fascism, it'd be a great day out. So we've got 2 lads there with around the wood, the combat patrols, and then I put a combat patrol in the farm at the back, just to give me some options for reserves and cover if it all goes to shit.
That's right. Yeah. It's good to have that defence in depth, I think.
Yeah, and then at the back I've got my
that's just sheer
HQ, mortar and guns to remind
missions.
me I've got an artillery mission, and my foo in his little tank, for those of you who remember, hello, is in the church steeple, because I have watched the Eagle has landed.
Absolutely. So that steeple's going to be a bit of a target in it, Andy. So Andy, over to you. What have you got over here?
So I was very conscious when I saw the table just how open it was.
Yes, it is.
And
It's only 15mm edges. I can't get any bloody closer.
and obviously Ken's got the advantage of some elevated terrain.
He has, yeah.
So the position itself is very exposed. I think I rolled reasonably well with my deployment dice. I managed to interdict Ken's forces, cause some damage. I didn't quite get as many patrol markers on the table as I might have liked in my deployment. I've only got 4. That doesn't feel like very many.
You can put more down as orders, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But
so
yes,
I think my main concern at the moment is obviously Ken's got a number of ambushes. The biggest decision I had to make about my deployment really, I think, was whether I brought a platoon on with the 4 6s that I rolled.
Yeah.
And my thinking is that I've really got to try and establish some sort of base of fire, because if I'm unable to do that, I think the terrain is open enough that my rest of my deployment could be really hindered, I think.
Grant. Yes, I think I agree. That's the main thing. Get a base of fire down. Andrew's got to either capture 2 of the 3 built-up areas within St. Fromond over here, or inflict 3 foo bars on the Germans. Germans have got to stop him doing that within 18 turns, and that's it. I don't think the game will go to 18 turns, they very rarely do, and I think one or the other will inflict three foo bars on the other. All right, we'll catch up at the end of the next turn, or the first turn, and see where we're at. Right, here we are at the end of turn 1, just about to start turn 2. Andy, tell me what's happened so far.
Well, obviously we're engaging with the dastardly Bosch.
You are.
So I felt as my deployment kind of has evolved over this term, I think I've been reasonably successful in distributing my patrol markers.
Yeah.
I felt very hemmed in this third of the table at the start of the game. I'm in two minds as to whether it was the right thing to deploy that platoon in the first turn, but having said that, they have removed one of Ken's patrol markers. He has deployed his MMG, but I think the main thing that's been in my favour really this turn has been the interdiction fire. I think Ken's inability to actually get stuff on the table
that's helping, isn't it?
Helped far more than my feeble efforts, really.
Yeah, you push these forward, these are taking a couple of shock from the MMG and mortars. That's coming from you, hasn't it, Ken? So a bit of good shooting there. And how are you feeling, Ken, at the moment?
Well, obviously, I'd just like to say that I am playing in character as the Germans. I am not normally sneaky. So just let's get that out of the way first. So first thing I've done is I've banged a couple of orders on my artillery observer and got the mortars working. Because it's 2 orders to get them working and 1 if the target stays where it is. Right. So it gives me puts a bit of pressure on Andy to move that platoon if he doesn't want to get
flattened again.
And then because the platoon was there, I did a little bit of damage on it, and I wanted to try and add to that and maybe cause a bit of suppression. I opened up with my MMG, which had been in ambush.
It is.
And sadly only got another 1 shock on, so I've not done as much as I would like, but there we go. And then I've just rolled, I'll say shocking, so you keep your monetisation dice, and you can see orders littered everywhere, which is basically the interdiction stopping me deploying. So the only thing that I have done in super sneaky, super spy Nazi form is I've sent a combat patrol over the bridge into that wood to give me an opportunity eventually of deploying something there for maybe a bit of flanking fire.
Yeah, a bit of enfilade fire, isn't it? And then just a little bit of combat patrol movement on this side, wasn't it? That's kind of that's all that's happened, really.
With the loss of the combat patrol over there, I managed to get another one out, and I've moved the combat patrol from behind the scout jamboree to the middle of into the middle of the table, just to make sure I haven't got a gap where Andy can push through.
Absolutely, it's a screening basically at the moment, aren't you? Hemming him in. All right, well, we'll come back in the next turn, see how things have gone on. Deploy with impunity.
Excellent.
Right, so there we are. End of turn 2. I said start of turn 3. Where we at, lads? Ken, you start this time.
Yeah, I managed to grab the initiative.
You did,
with some absolutely spectacular die rolls.
You certainly did.
Which was the only spectacular die roll of the turn, I have to say. And a little bit of a similar problem from last turn in that because I'm interdicted, I'm failing to get units deployed on the table. So Andy very kindly helped me with that and stuck one of his units right in front of one of my ambush units, which was a section in the built-up area, and he very kindly turned his back to me as well, which was nice. And you can definitely come any time you want again.
Yorkshire hospitality, right there.
So I've given him a big one from the rear, as they say, and a couple of shock on that. Continued firing on the unit in the wood with the mortars.
First blood here as well, isn't he?
Yeah,
he killed a section.
Yeah. So having got the initiative, Andy wasn't able to move before me firing again, so it only cost me 1 order.
Yeah.
So that was good. And then my MMG fired some weak marrow peas and failed to do any damage, and then got some proper love back.
It did, didn't it?
It did, yeah. So they've got 2 shock on them.
They haven't.
Is not good.
How is it going over here, Andy, on your side? How are you feeling? Really,
Well, I think I'm quite pleased in that Ken's used 2 of his ambushes.
well, that's true. You're drawing him out, aren't you? You're taking him on.
So his deployment is
The
starting.
families of those soldiers are not going to be.
No, well, they wouldn't describe it
No.
in such a way. No, so I'm glad that Ken's starting to put his forces on the table, and I felt I had to. The town is my major objective,
That's
so
it.
I had to force that issue in the corner. And to a degree, I think that's been successful. I'm very, very conscious of how I have to manage my orders as a resource now, and one of the things I'm starting to become concerned about is that I can't get will I be able to get my troops on the table quickly enough now to stop this company getting chewed up piecemeal.
That's it. Yeah, you want a bit of a spearhead, don't you, down here, rather than just a.
But I think the one of. And then this side of the table has become a bit of a sideshow, but I think that could potentially...
It might kick off.
It might kick off
Yeah.
likely at any time.
All right. Right, end of turn 3, and exciting things have happened, haven't they? Who wants to go first? Tell me what happened here.
So,
Go on, Andy, you can.
so first company tried to advance towards the objective.
Well, Ken got the initiative in the first place, didn't he? Which
did,
I think really helped.
Yeah, he did. And
Made a big change.
managed to get a platoon almost into the built-up area, which triggered a whole succession of reactions.
It did, didn't it?
Including ambushes, inflating fire. I was at a risk of being annihilated.
You literally got to about here, didn't you? I think with them.
Indeed.
Where are they now?
And then the Germans appeared from
They're over
everywhere and lit me up like a Christmas tree.
Absolutely.
So very fortunately, though, I think in the circumstances, quite happy that I've still got 2 stands of infantry left after a close assault.
Yes, I'm surprised at the amount of men you've got left.
Reasonably pleased with that. The loss of the combat patrol markers is really starting to affect my deployment now, so I had to bring additional patrol markers on. It's very early stages at the minute. Although my initial advance has been repulsed, I'm not unhappy.
Fair enough, Ken. How did that go for you?
I think if you've seen that famous relic from Gallipoli with the 2 bullets stuck together, I think I've got about 300 of them in that field because I've fired from every single direction. Little good positive for Andy that he's kept that unit. A little disappointed for me that I've fired half of Germany's lead production in a year at that platoon,
and they're still
there.
Yeah.
I couldn't have got a more advantageous position.
I don't think you could have done. Yeah, you were shooting him in the rear. You
I was
were
shooting him from 3
him.
different positions, charged him,
and still he survived.
Still survived.
Yeah. But yes.
So that super chocolate that the Germans have that make them go quicker, it's obviously not good enough. But yeah, so all the action's concentrated on the town and village at the moment.
It is, as I expect.
There's a bit of Strictly Come Dancing going on the other side with combat patrols, just cancelling each other out.
Yeah, it is like you said. The action is down here, but that's because you're spending where your orders are coming in down here, aren't they? So it's.
There will be an order token mine here at the end of the war, I would suggest.
Right, end of turn 4. Into turn 5, and this was a bit of a tits up, wasn't it? Shall we say?
The Germans were getting ready for a bit of Blackpool Rock and heading over the channel into Blighty, but unfortunately, despite once again firing everything I possibly can in the world at a hesitant company.
Yeah, he had a full hesitant company, didn't Andy?
I fired, got them down, suppressed, needed 3 on 2d6 to get contact and have a melee.
Literally.
And I rolled 2.
Double 1. Unbelievable, wasn't it? So bad.
Unbelievable, Jeff.
Poetic justice.
Yeah, you would say that.
There's mortar rounds, there's machine gun rounds, there's Panzerschreck rounds, there's everything.
Everything's
in that tiny corner of a field.
And nothing is working, is it?
Nothing was worth it.
Yeah. So, Andy, how did that have to go for you? Because you had one big hesitant company, didn't you, on this side?
Yeah, I think I don't think that things have necessarily changed as drastically as they might have done, although I have been going to push me right back.
He has. You've hardly got off your start line, have you, down here?
My two companies my two platoons in my first company are in a pretty bad way, but they're still functioning. The hesitant company mechanic is really, really quite powerful. And as soon as,
in a bad way.
As soon as those 3 ones came up, that really did scupper any chance that I might have had of reacting to what Ken was doing on this side of the table. But I think the kind of the balance of the game is, well, not the balance of the game, but the focus of the game is starting to shift now that I've got more patrol markers out.
Yeah.
And I feel that Ken's committed an awful lot of his troops to this side of the table.
Well, that's true as well.
That might create some opportunities on the other.
Yes.
That's why I should be in control of Panzers. I'm a blitzkrieger. I'm straight down the table.
Yeah, that's like you say there, Andy. I think that's right. You're starting to shift your focus onto this right flank, whereas Ken, we know exactly where his stuff is. I say we. I'm helping you out here. It's your first game, but Ken now only has a small amount of stuff left in reserve.
Yeah, I think for me, Andy's pushed around that side of the table with his combat patrols, and I've made a decision to pull back from my initial defence line back to a secondary one based around the farm, just to give me more time to try and actually do something with the stuff on the other flank.
And again, just looking at what Andy's got in reserves compared to what Ken's got, you know, you've still got a full, pretty much 2 companies off the table, whereas Ken has got
the cupboard is really bare.
Just one. The cupboard is very bare.
Initiative's going to be very important at the start of next
I think it is. Yeah, definitely. Time to catch up here on end of turn 5, coming up to 6.
Woo!
How do we feel, chaps?
I was in a deep depression. I was in a deep dark hole, and then my mortars brought me out of that deep dark hole.
They did, didn't they? They did.
So I count my defensive attack. I was on the back foot swinging for
That's an obvious schlacht for our German listeners.
Yeah. I've basically run out of steam, and I couldn't do enough damage on there, and unit of American engineers turned up with some nasty SMG rubbish.
These guys here.
So I backed everything off into better cover because I was going to leave something isolated and very dead the next turn. Lobbed in some battalion mortars and bugger me, or bugger them as it was. Did
You
a load
smashed
of damage
them up,
to
yeah.
a company.
Yeah, destroyed a company, forcing the first FUBAR on Andrew over here, who's not very happy about that. Because you'd only just got the initiative, hadn't you, really, Andrew, on this one?
No, but I just can't help but think that it could have been a lot worse.
That's true.
I was very lucky. We were talking about the importance of the initiative role in the last turn, and I think that really was the deciding factor. I think although I've got a FUBAR, I've still got a lot of troops left in reserve.
You do.
I've lost 1 platoon only so far, and I think it's going to be. It'll be interesting to see if I don't find eventually myself in the same position as Ken, whereby I don't have enough momentum to actually achieve the objective, because although I've held on here, it has been at some cost.
It has, but then that's why you got your fresh company held in reserve. You want to be putting those out as soon as everything else is spent, so you can actually keep pushing that fight forward. And that should be your overall plan. But whether that happens or not is a different matter.
And we were saying during the conversation after this turn is one of the good things about a good set of rules is how the momentum can swing from one side to the other. And you know, steam had run out of my attack. I was taking casualties. I was 2-0 down away at Leeds United, and I was feeling really bad. And then I lobbed those mortars in, and suddenly I'm 4-0 up to Man United.
But there's a lot of hidden depth in the mechanics.
There is, isn't there? They seem very simple, but on the tabletop there's a lot to. I mean, the thing is, I think, Ken, you were over here. You were pushing forward, and I think it was a couple of bad rolls, because if you'd have been able to get in and kill those off first of all, I don't think any of this would have happened, and then you wouldn't be back behind the village. Yeah, but that's the fortune, I guess.
Even though it's not positive for me where I am now, it's a positive for me in the fact that can happen.
Yeah.
You know, I've pushed my attack to its absolute limit.
Absolutely.
Typical Ken. You know, there's no arguments.
Go big or go home.
And go big or go home. And I've failed at the last minute, and that's the excitement of the game.
It is. And you've still got the chance to reconstitute your troops as well, there, Ken, haven't you? Because you haven't actually lost that many people.
Yeah, you are. You've fallen back. You are in a pretty strong position still.
They're fatigued, but they're not. They haven't suffered high casualties.
Well, still all to play for.
We're going to eat pies and come back.
We are going to eat pies.
Come back.
Lovely.
Here we are at the end of turn 6, going into turn 7. We are getting a bit late in the day for us, because me and Andy have got to get back in the snow. So I think we'll probably be packing up maybe after this. We'll see how next turn goes. Yeah. But how's it gone so far, lads? What's the deal on this turn?
I'm much happier now than I was at the start, Alex. So I feel, I mean, it's been, again, interesting to use the consolidation point as a springboard, and as a consequence I've managed to get right into right up Ken's back passage, so to speak. And I'm really trying to push on that built-up area at the back of the map now.
Swing round, I guess.
And my weight of numbers, I feel, is increasingly coming into play, and I've still got the best part of a company and a half left to put on the table. So apart from the passing of time, things are going quite well.
Yeah. How about you, Ken? What do you think? How's your defence looking at this point?
Yeah, I have to say I'm relatively happy. I've been deliberately pulling back on this side to, you know, Andy's got a lot of ground to cover there, so he's got to use a lot of orders up to get stuff forward. So by me pulling back and shrinking my defensive lines, it's making Andy do the work.
Absolutely.
So I'm trying now to get everything as in good order as I possibly can before the inevitable attack comes in. And I had a lovely big artillery battery.
You did, didn't you?
That splattered into that lot in that field. Unfortunately, fairly shite dice rolls. I didn't do much,
but you give him some cause to concern.
Yeah, he looked worried. He looked worried for a minute, and then he thought, "Oh, Ken's got all that." So
I thought, "Oh no, it's all right. Ken's rolling."
But yeah, that was good to, save my artillery. I had to wait until I got 5 on my HQ
That's right.
orders.
Yeah. So that took a while, didn't it?
Once I've done that, I then felt safe using the HQ orders to
spend
do
all
extra
the stuff.
order myself this turn,
absolutely.
So.
Yeah, that's because Ken is a second-rate battalion, so they need a certain level of HQ orders to be able to bring in artillery. But you did, and you went big, and you all go home, didn't you?
Exactly. No point messing about.
And it give you a bit of a shock. Right, well, we'll see how we get on with the next turn, and perhaps even a turn after that if we could squeeze one out.
But it's swung left and right there.
Yeah.
Oh, completely. Yeah, we've just come in on the end of turn 7. Andy has thrown the towel in. Would you like to tell us why, Andy?
Yeah.
First of all, and then we can deconstruct the game after.
So basically the focus of my attack shifted from this side of the table through to the other end of the table.
Yeah. You're doing really well actually up here, moving on that farmyard.
But what happened was that after having withheld the initial counterattack from Ken's forces, these guys have become increasingly under fire from Ken's artillery, which has been really, really effective this game. And I think
Mortars in particular. Were very
absolutely, and it's amazing how once the big guns start firing, the divisional artillery, how powerful that is on the table.
Yeah.
So I think that really what's going to happen is Ken is just going to turn all of these guys to marmalade over the course of the next couple of turns, and then that will be it from a foobar perspective.
Yeah.
You know, which again, really interesting, really enjoyable game. Different from the other Lardy games that I've played. Really do like it. A lot to it.
Yeah,
Ken, summing up on your side.
Same from me. I really enjoyed it. I've used an aggressive but flexible defence, trying to
certainly have.
push and pull and put pressure on in different places and punch Andy in the face and then in the side.
Repeatedly.
How dare you to come to Yorkshire?
Kick in the nuts.
And I think it just shows that, you know, if I would have just sat there, it would have been so much easier for you to just build your
strength against
strength
him.
up, but and then withdrawing, and this is what I've really enjoyed with the game, is that using a tactic like strategically withdrawing to get your enemy around into position and using their orders up has helped me, because I'm on a shorter frontage, so Andy's got to go further.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is realistic. You know,
you're drawing him in, aren't you?
Normally has the advantage, and having the shorter lines and contracting those lines
makes it even more
makes
so.
the defence easier.
I think we had a bit of a spell, didn't we? A couple of phases ago where I was manoeuvring, but I didn't have the combat power down in this part of the table to pressurise you, and you were able to you were able to buy some time to recuperate your troops, because some of those units were really
knackered,
quite,
there was
but hadn't actually suffered any losses. It was just morale.
They were
So they were
shot
able
up,
to
weren't
recuperate themselves and come back, and then now
that was these guys here. You fell back with them, didn't you, Ken? Them start pushing them up again.
These were all battered to a degree.
And then being able to, again, once they'd recovered, push in more pressure on this side, then puts pressure over there. You know, where are you going to put your orders?
And this is the thing, you've only got a finite number of orders per turn to spend them, and Ken was just asking how many of the HQ orders do you normally use in a turn in a game, and I'd usually use all of them at some point because they're there to be used, but I think new players probably hang on to them because you want to hold on to them.
I did that.
It can be a bit of a mistake, but it can also it depends. If you want that initiative, hold on to them. If you want to push in the turn, use them. And I think that's the difference, isn't it? I mean, you did some good counter-attacking over here, Ken, I think, in this field. Even though as Andy was moving in, you broke his line, sending these guys scuttling off all the way back to Wisconsin. Unfortunately for them. But yes, you definitely held on to St. Fromond over here. This is not even, you've not even got close to it, have you, Andy?
No.
You moved up to that hedge line, and that's as far as you got.
And I mean, Ken's firing comparatively has been far more effective than mine. You know, Ken's lost a very small number of units, although at one time he had quite a lot of shock.
You just weren't tipping them over, were you? You're actually losing them. Well, you've lost seven sections to Ken's one at this point, so it wouldn't be long before you're on your second foobar, and then from there it's all downhill. It really is. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this, lads.
Thank you very much.
I've certainly enjoyed it. Thanks again to Ken for giving us his war room, and I shall see you in the next.
We only used a third of it.
Absolutely, yes. Small game for you. This is skirmish. Skirmish for you, isn't it, Ken? What, about 100 figures aside? This is nothing.
Normally don't get out of bed for this.
Well, I'm glad you did for us. And I'll see the rest of you in the next Storm of Steel video.